When a man persists in his folly, he becomes wise. This video is a PSA for you today to be an idiot, to be a moron, to go out there and make mistakes. This is an ode to failing. Because it is in these failures, it is in these mistakes, even though I truly believe there are no such thing as mistakes or real failures, it's in making these errors that you self-correct and that you truly learn the lessons that are meant to be learned, rather than sitting around reading books all day, watching YouTube videos. Not here to shame you, by the way. I appreciate you being here today. But there is a massive problem in today's society and in today's world, and in the way we actually go about learning things. And I've fallen victim to this and still continue to fall victim to this so many times, because in today's world we live in the information age, right? We have everything at our fingertips. Want to know the province of any country, or the presidents of any era or city, or, as you can hear, I don't really know much about geography, but if you want to know anything, right, you're a Google search away from understanding or learning that information. You want to learn how to cook something, you got a YouTube video that teaches you in detail, step by step, how to go about cooking that meal, what you need, everything you could dream of. You have AI now that can teach you how to code, that can be your mental health practitioner, you know. And if you are using AI to kind of talk about personal things, you know, be careful. Don't share your information with random bots. But at the same time, these things are possible, and people are currently developing AI to become therapists, right? Because the AI doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to eat, doesn't get emotionally overwhelmed by sad stories. It can be truly objective with you. We really do live in a time where incredible potential exists for us to be immersed in any field of interest. And there's literally zero timing or friction between you and the information you want to gain. And 50 to 100 years ago, maybe more than 100 years ago, this would have been unbelievable to people. People in the medieval ages, if they knew that they could just click some magic box and suddenly have all this shiny information appear in front of them like wizardry, sorcery, you know, they would think of the future and think, wow, these people that have this access to this magical AI box, they are all going to be so skilled and so intelligent and so knowledgeable and wise. But unfortunately, as I'm sure you've seen, not only maybe with yourself, but in the experience of the world and people around you, we live in a time now where people are more lost than ever, where people are not fulfilling their potential. They are not doing things to succeed, to achieve, to change their lives, to contribute to the world. And I genuinely don't even think that that's a problem with those people themselves. You know, we could look at them and say, you have all this access, why don't you do incredible things and change the world? And I genuinely believe it is because, as I said in the beginning of this video, men and women do not want to persist in their folly. They are not willing to make errors and to feel that discomfort, that pain of going through the fire, of learning lessons the hard way, right? Letting life crack them over the head, you know, with a mallet from time to time. Because it is just too easy now to sit down, pick up a book, watch a YouTube video, listen to your favorite podcast, and seemingly gain all this progress and knowledge. But this gain of, or acquisition of knowledge, is all an illusion, because it's hollow. It's too accessible, it's meaningless, it's just words on a page. You cannot experience Jamaica, as a silly example, by reading about Jamaica in a travel documentary book. You will never know what it's like to fall in love and to have your heart shattered and broken by somebody you trusted and loved, by watching a romance novel, whether you watch 10 to 20 to 100 of them and you think, I'll learn from her. You know, she got her heart broken. I won't be like that. I know better now. You might find quite soon and quite quickly that you're in the same situation, if not worse, and you're confused because you'd read about this before. I'd seen what to do in a book. I read the steps and the stages of grief, and starts with denial and moves on to this, you know. All these various bits of knowledge, you know, with these walking encyclopedias, but you have no idea how to handle that situation simply because you have never been in a place that you have not been in. And that's a problem. I think many of you can relate to this sad realization that I've had lately, looking back on my life and realizing that all I ever wanted to do was just do the best I could. Like, I've just wanted to be perfect, you know. And that's a nice intention to have, you know. I value doing things right. And I'm sure you do too, where you want to put your best foot forward. You want to study up before the test and prepare as hard as you can. You don't want to make mistakes. You want to have everything done perfectly and flawlessly. And again, your intentions are pure, and I do sympathize with you for that. But it's so sad when you finally realize that it is literally in your attempt to be perfect and to do things by the book that you actually sacrifice the most learning, the most experience, and even the most pleasure out of actually succeeding. Because I don't think you really and truly appreciate anything until you realize how hard it was to get that thing, whether that was a job, a car, a girlfriend, a physique. If things are just handed to you the same way they were always handed to me, because it might just be too easy to get, or maybe life turned out well for you and you're lucky. But it's a paradox, because it really is in messing up. It's in being willing. I think that's the crux of the argument I'm trying to make in today's video. Being willing to suffer. Being willing to get slapped by life a little bit and to actually learn a lesson the hard way. That is when success feels real. It feels joyful. And when lessons actually stick. When things actually become tangible. I had a problem with drinking 3 years ago. 3.5 years actually. It's almost, 3.5 to 4 years ago. It's crazy. You lose track of time. But I was in a place where drinking was never a problem for me. And I knew that it was one of those things I did that wasn't optimal. Other than drinking, I was pretty good. I studied hard. I never put a foot out of line. You know, I was actually the kind of guy that was terrified to cause trouble, to look stupid, to be an idiot, right? Until it came to drinking. Then I was willing to be a little bit of a clown, and I made mistakes. I went out, I drank too much, I said things I shouldn't have said. You know how it goes, all right? But paradoxically, doing that was probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Getting too involved in drinking was actually a smart move. And it is through this folly, this foolishness, that allowed me to become wise, far more than I ever would have by learning it in a book. You've had and heard stories about uncles in the family that were major alcoholics, that had drug problems. And they said, don't do drugs, don't do alcohol. Look what happened to Uncle frank, you know, and you look at Uncle Frank and looks like a little bit of a loser. But you're like, I'll know, I won't make that mistake. Until one day you wake up and it's like 20 bottles deep and it's like, woo. I thought Uncle Frank would have, like, seeing that realization, seeing these pictures of drug addicts with no teeth and stuff would have been enough. But no, it wasn't. And the same thing happened for me. I persisted in my folly of drinking until it came to a moment where I fucked up so badly that it literally scared me straight, hopefully for the rest of my life. And I know for a fact, sitting here talking to you today, that I would have never stopped. I would have never given up drinking by simply thinking, I've read about people that are alcoholics and I don't want my life to become like that. I know that it's going to damage my kidneys and my health, and I'm never going to be able to get a six-pack because I drink. None of that would have solved the problem for me. And none of that would have given me the actual life experience that I needed, where I can sit here in front of you today and tell you drinking is a terrible idea. But I can tell you that until I'm blue in the face. I can sit here all day long and tell you my story, but it's going to do nothing for you. Nothing for you, my friend. The same way sitting here and telling you you should study harder, you should get out there and meet new people, you should hit the gym, is going to do nothing for you. It is only in experiencing and making that fatal mistake for yourself that you finally learn the lesson. I would have never stopped if it wasn't for going through that traumatic experience, because life truly was the greatest teacher in that moment. It is the only thing that could have scared me straight. And it is through failing and being a fool and making a big mistake like that can I sit here today with full humility, not even taking any accountability for my decision. People often say, wow, you gave up drinking. That's really impressive. Like, you should be proud of yourself. There is nothing to be proud of. I was a fool, and it was in that foolishness that life taught me the right way, the hard way. And I sit here today being a student of life. Literally, I can thank life, God, the divine, whoever it was that helped me, and say thank you for teaching me that lesson. But it was only in being willing to be foolish. By the way, I think this is a good place to throw in a little caveat here, just a little disclaimer. Am I telling you now to go out there and get shit-faced today and to take drugs and to be a moron? Absolutely not. Right? This is no message that is telling you, oh, you should go and throw yourself against a brick wall because, you won't learn without failure. You know what's right and wrong for yourself. I'm not going to be responsible for you now going and getting a DUI, right? Don't be silly. What I am saying to you today, though, is it is your unwillingness to be uncomfortable. It is your unwillingness to look like an idiot and to make mistakes that is preventing you from becoming the highest version of yourself. And that you actually want to fail as much as humanly possible and hopefully as safely as possible. That's the caveat with the drinking, right? There were safer ways to figure out this lesson. Unfortunately, it didn't happen like that for me. But if you really want to learn, if you really want to be changed by life in a real way, in an authentic way, not by being book smart or by being able to recite a bunch of rules. No. If you want to feel like a changed man and a changed woman inside of you at a deep level, the only way to do that is to learn through trial by fire. It's to be willing to put yourself through the mess. No book, no seminar, no video is ever going to be enough to teach you the things you need to really learn and inherently internalize for yourself. It is only through being willing to be a fool. It's the man who's willing to look stupid, who's willing to put himself out there and get rejected 1,000 times, that will find love, that will find friends that are true to himself. It's the man that sits and reads books on how to win friends and influence people that is going to attract a circle of fakes and phonies around him, because he did all the things right. He did the tips and tactics, but he never learned fundamentally that some people are not meant to be friends with you, that you are not meant to fall in love with certain people because they're not good for you. He learned to value a real and authentic relationship because he had been through the pain of a terrible breakup with somebody that was not right for him, somebody that did not align with him and his values and his soul. It is that guy that can truly gain and value and cherish a real relationship, because he was once the guy who went through the muck of heartbreak. And you too can be that guy. You can be that girl. All it takes is putting your ego aside. Say to yourself, if I get hurt, if I look silly for 5 minutes, if I feel a little bit of stress or tension or a bit of sadness in my chest, am I willing to sacrifice a real, fully lived life experience in order to avoid some fleeting and temporary emotions? Because that's unfortunately what you're doing. If you are unwilling to fail, if you are unwilling to look silly and to feel pain, you are essentially saying, I would rather focus my life on feeling comfortable and feeling peaceful right now over actually living and experiencing the life I truly want. This one life that I get that might be gone tomorrow, that will be gone one day. So again, here is your permission, my friend. Go and be a fool. Persist in your folly. Make mistakes. Do it, you know. Don't overthink it too much. Be willing to be the jester from time to time, if not all the time. Because the more you persist in making mistakes and letting life teach you, the quicker you will become wise, the quicker you will learn lessons the real way, the right way, and the quicker you'll be able to look back on your life with pride and peace and contentment, knowing that you gave it all. You were in the arena. You weren't watching from the sidelines. And that's all you can ever really ask for.